Walter Mondale wrote a piece this week in the Washington Post. I'll put a portion of it on the screen. It has to do with the tax debate. He says this: "We will not be able to control our budget deficits without raising taxes. President Obama's speech Wednesday lived up to that moment. Now Democrats and Republicans in Congress must take a similar stand. I told the truth," he writes in 1984 in my acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco. "The budget will be squeezed. Taxes will go up. It must be done. Mr. Reagan will raise taxes, and so will I. He won't tell you I just did. I lost the election, but I won the debate. Reagan ended up increasing taxes in 84, 5, 6, and 7 to mend the budget and tax systems." Do taxes have to go up if we're going to get real about the debt?
No. And with all due respect to Mr. Mondale, that argument isn't going to go over any better this year than it did in 1984. Americans understand
But Reagan did it, is his point.
You can't raise taxes, particularly in an economy like this one, without hurting jobs, without hitting economic growth. And we desperately need those things. Whether you're in favor of bolstering national security on the one hand or shoring up entitlements on the other hand, you need the revenue that can fund those programs. We can't have that when we hurt the economy by raising taxes.
Dr. Greenspan, is that accurate? You're a veteran of many budget wars. Is it realistic to say that taxes can't be raised if we're going to get serious about the deficit?
Well, the data shows something very interesting about endeavoring to curtail budget problems of the type that we have. The IMF, a number of well-known academics have all observed that if you have a disproportionate part of your budget cuts from tax increases, it won't work. And indeed, the economic impact of cutting back on spending is rather modest, and the IMF is saying to the point of possibly being insignificant. But having said that, I think this crisis is so imminent and so difficult that I think we have to allow the so-called Bush tax cuts all to expire. That is a very big number. But having put the rates back to where they were in the Clinton administration, I would argue that everything else should be either cutting spending or taking out the subsidies which are in the tax expenditures.
So you say let them expire for everybody. Go back to Clinton-era rates.
Yes, and I think that what we have to become aware of is that if we allow taxes to fill in the holes here, we are going to find that we are getting ever closer to the type of economies that exist in Europe, which are very heavily laden and not rapidly growing the way ours can. I must say, I am feeling far more optimistic about resolving this issue now than I was several months ago. And the fact that people are saying, putting on the table that this issue requires a major cut in entitlement spending in order to resolve this issue is the issue that is got to be confronted. We're going to do it realistically. I hope sooner rather than later.